Hi, everybody. We are celebrating National Girls and Women in Sports Day, and we have a very special guest in with us today. This is Melissa Caruso. She's the general manager of our PWHL team here in Minnesota, the Frost. Thanks so much for being here, Melissa.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to chat today.
So we're celebrating girls and women in sports. Obviously, you are very much so a woman in sports. Can you just start us off and kind of introduce yourself and how you got into sports to begin with?
Yes, absolutely. And I will just start off by saying that this one hits a little bit differently now that I'm working in women's hockey. That's a big day around our industry, and especially for women. A lot of the women that I've kind of grew up learning our way in the sports field. So really exciting. I'm from Massachusetts. I graduated from Springfield College, where I studied sport management. While I was there, I did a number of internships, primarily with the American Hockey League, which was located in Springfield, Massachusetts. Once I walked in the door there, I found my home. I stayed there for 15 years. I held various roles there, intern to merchandise to ticketing, and then finally kind of settled into hockey operations. And that's kind of where it all took off from there. So for anyone not familiar with the AHL, primary development league for the NHL, 32 teams all around North America. And it was a great starting point for my career. But I did hold a lot of responsibilities there and had a lot of different roles and covered a lot of ground where I was able to learn a lot about just the sports industry in general.
Was it daunting when you were first an intern there?
It was really tight-knit office, maybe 10 or 12 people at the time. Like, I was definitely thrown to the wolves at times, but it was such a great learning experience. I think within my first week of the job, I was at an all-star event, kind of just dove right in and doing a lot of things that at the time were all very new to me. So it was a really great learning experience.
For you, what do you think? I mean, when you're able to reflect now on your career and how far you've come, but when you do look back on, you're an intern and built your way up to one of the top spots with the AHL. I mean, what do you think? Like, how does that boost your confidence, and what does it do for you now and what you do with the PW?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I owe a lot of my career to some of my managers and supervisors that I've had at the AHL, and that kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone and taught me things I needed to learn, but also gave me a lot of freedom to learn a lot of things myself and trial and error and kind of see my own potential. I had a lot of mentors that I looked up to, and that kind of helped me guide my way through. And also, I think part of succeeding in this industry is being a good people person. I think I can get along well with a lot of people, and I respect people, and I think that does go a long way. But yeah, this jump to the PW has definitely been, it's challenging, but it's been really fun and exciting. And I do think I had a really great background in hockey to be able to take on this role full speed.
Were there a lot of women at the AHL? I mean, you were there for 15 years, but...
There were not. I actually was the first woman to hold a vice president title with the American League, so I'm really proud of that. Since then, there have been some that have come after me and some that I worked really closely with, and kind of my understudy, she got the title after I left, so I was really excited to be able to kind of be a mentor for her along the way too, and repay that. But even sitting around the boardroom, there were 2 or 3 teams that had women kind of in the executive level, and that's hard to see. But we all kind of supported each other as well, so that was the fun part of it.
It's got to be a little bit of a change. I always say, because I work in a sports department full of men, love them, but sometimes I think, wow, I have not spoken to a woman today. And now you're surrounded by women. So what's that transition been like for you? Yeah,
it's been incredible, honestly. Like, I inherited a really great staff, a lot of women on staff as well. So that's been an interesting transition. It's great. And honestly, like, if you ask me like how my mentors changed, like from even last year working at the AHL to now, like I look around the people that I'm surrounded with every day who have been in women's hockey for forever, and you know that's what they've dedicated their lives to, and like those are the people I look up to now because they've got this incredible foundation that they're working so hard to excel this sport and bring it to the next level, staff and athletes.
What were your thoughts? Were you presented the job, or was it something that you knew was coming open? How did you get into the spot you're in right now?
I knew, obviously living in St. Paul, I knew the opportunity was there. I had seen kind of the news reports at the time and saw the job posting when it was there, and kind of read through it, and you think about it, and it's a big change to leave somewhere that you've been for 15 years too. But that being said, I was living here in St. Paul. We had relocated a couple of years ago. I was looking for, an opportunity to get back in the office and work with people on a daily basis because I was a remote worker at the time, and it was a really good fit. So it kind of just started some informal conversations with the league. The PDub worked kind of closely with some of the people at the American League to kind of get up and running and look for consultation and advice in certain areas. So there already was a relationship there, so that certainly helped. But once the conversation started, it just took off from there.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Jumping back to your time with the AHL, what first sparked your interest in thinking that this was something that you wanted to be a part of?
It's a great question because I will say I never played hockey. It was never my dream to work in hockey. I knew I wanted to work in sports. I was an athlete growing up. Not great at anything, just kind of dabbled in a lot of different areas. So I kind of just fell in love with sports and what sports meant to a school or a community. And that's why I decided to study it in college, when I realized I wasn't going anywhere in any sort of professional or collegiate career. So when I started to study it, that's when I kind of knew that was how I wanted to make my living because I just believed in sport completely. And then I stumbled into the AHL, and at that point, I fell in love with the league, what it meant to all of these cities around North America. It's family entertainment, it's development league, and not just the players. I mean, a significant, I don't know what the percentage is, 91, 92% of players do go on to play in the NHL, but it's also staff, coaches. It's kind of just, it's a great league. It was a great league to be a part of.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk to Melissa some more about her career. Obviously, the PDub, there's so many aspects of the PWHL that are so different than anything that's happened before. So we are getting into all of that when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. If you weren't with us before, we are celebrating National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Right now, we have Melissa Caruso in with us, PWHL GM for our Minnesota Frost. Thanks so much again for being in with us, Melissa. So we've talked about how you started with the AHL, and then you are now the Minnesota Frost general manager moving into the Women's League. For you, obviously, we've talked a little bit about the differences in the two, but when you first started, how different was it working for a league with women compared to a league that's obviously, like you said, predominantly men? For you, going in, obviously the game's a little bit different, not too terribly different. But what were some of the biggest contrasts that you picked up on when you first started with the Frost?
I think, number one, there's so many more women around the PDub in leadership positions, and that has been really incredible for me to see. Like as I mentioned previously, not a lot of executive level women in the AHL, so that has been a welcome and refreshing change to see so many women in leadership positions.
We've seen the success of the PWHL just in its debut season. But what does it mean to you to be a part of something that is so new, doing so well for women just so early on? Because I feel like this league's going to be around for a while.
For sure. It's really inspiring and super empowering. As I was taking this job, like I knew that it was the time to get into women's sports. We've all kind of watched the WNBA take off over the last couple of years. NWSL expanding. We're going to have a rugby league soon and a women's baseball league soon. So it's all really exciting. And yeah, the PW is definitely here to stay. And they're doing an incredible job getting this league up and running, and really pumped to be a part of it.
I'm very interested. I know probably every single day is a little bit different, but could you walk us through just what day to day your responsibilities are, what you're doing with the team?
Sure. There is a lot of collaboration with the league. So on any given day, we might have kind of league meetings where all the general managers get together and share ideas. We also have, like, my counterpart on the business side. We'll get together regularly with our counterparts across the league, and again, share ideas and best practices. But on a day-to-day basis, we're set up at TRIA. We have a training space at TRIA, so we practice there on every game day, every non-game day. So we have pre-training meals, and we're making sure our athletes are fueling properly. We have a nutritionist on site. We have sports psychology on site. Again, we practice at TRIA Rink, and then kind of from there, our players will go into treatments, and we'll just kind of recap the day at the end of the day, with me and the athletic trainer and our coaching staff.
How do you think your job with the AHL prepared you for this general manager role?
I think a lot of this role is like people management, right? So I've got a staff of people to manage, and that's totally separate from the roster of players to manage too. So it is a lot of personalities. I think my role at the AHL set me up for that. My job there was a lot of servicing to all of the NHL GMs and NHL assistant GMs as well. So that was kind of my role, was to kind of navigate all of those personalities and kind of provide resources to all of them. So I think I have a good background in terms of managing people. So I think that's been a huge upside for me.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility in one spot. Obviously, Minnesota's the Walter Cup defending champs. When you came in, was it kind of like being handed the keys to a Mercedes?
It's a great analogy. It was definitely a unique situation. Like, it's not every day that, a GM has that responsibility to come in with the winning team. But, I haven't won personally, so that goal is still there. I know the mentality of our team is to win, and that's kind of how we're approaching the season and doing our jobs every day. Everyone's got their roles and kind of taking themselves to the next level to repeat that championship and keep the cup here in Minnesota.
What do you think that the ceiling is for women's hockey?
It's a great question. I think that we've seen something that's really impressed me over the last year is kind of what the league is doing with the Takeover Tour and expanding this game to all these different markets across the U.S. and Canada. We're seeing 19,000 fans come out for games on the West Coast. It's been incredible. So I think the ceiling is endless. Like, I just think we're just going to keep trying to get to that next threshold and make sure that everyone in the world knows about women's hockey.
And it's only just begun.
Yes.
Which is so crazy to me, because like I was telling you before, I didn't grow up with hockey. And then when I thought about it, whenever the PW was starting up, I was thinking, wait, there really isn't like a space for women at that level of play. For you, whenever obviously this is your first season, but it's the second season at the PWHL, you were so clued in with hockey before. When you heard that the PWHL was starting, what were your thoughts on the opportunity for women to have?
It's incredible. I know we haven't spoken much about the athletes, but some of the athletes on our roster, they have been through it trying to make a living in hockey, and now they finally have the outlet and the resources they need to be professionals at this level, and it's incredible, and I'm so happy for them. Even though I'm new here, it's amazing to watch them be able to do that. I
know you have the likes of Taylor Heisey, Kenneth Schofield, all these people that have stuck with the game despite not having that outlet too. I mean, how do you think that adversity has helped them with the game and now being able to play at the pro level?
Yeah, honestly, like, I think the reason, obviously, they all stuck with it is because they love the game,
Yeah.
right? So now they get to play the game and love the game and be paid appropriately and be fed appropriately and educated appropriately. Like, all of the resources are behind them. And I will say the PW is doing a great job to continue to expand those resources year to year and make these environments as close to, you know, the top as possible. So they're getting there, and it's been incredible to watch.
As a general manager, obviously you're involved in the business side of things too. Specifically here in Minnesota, I feel like we're very lucky in the fact that people are always supporting women's sports. I think the Lynx kind of set the standard for everybody else.
For sure.
But have you seen an increased interest in just the business side of people wanting to get involved with the PWHL?
Yeah, you know, I can't speak year to year. I'm not super caught up on the attendance numbers from year to
Right.
year, but you know, we had a game on Tuesday night, and you know, the lower bowl at the X, which is a really big building to fill, like, it looked pretty good for, you know, a weekday Tuesday night in the
Yeah.
middle of January, where, you know, we maybe haven't seen the sun for a couple of days. And the fan support here has been incredible. And, you know, the fans, you know, we've got the teams and the jerseys from all of the cities and towns around the Twin Cities. But then we just also have a really solid season ticket base of people who just were ready to support women's hockey and finally have an opportunity to do so.
I love it. When we come back, we're going to talk to Melissa some more about how the PWHL is inspiring the younger generation and what it means to be a part of that. Welcome back, everybody. If you weren't with us before, we are sitting down with the Minnesota Frost General Manager, Melissa Caruso, to help celebrate and ring in National Girls and Women in Sports Day. Thanks again for being in here, Melissa.
Absolutely.
So we've talked about your career, your role, what you're doing now, but let's talk a little bit about the PWHL and what it means to the next generation, because girls are finally getting to create some role models in the pro space for women in hockey. How cool is that to see?
It's so cool. I mean, these girls are household names, especially here in Minnesota.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned it before. We've got Kendall Coyne-Schofield, we've got Lee Steckline, we've got Kelly Panning. Those are all, you know, huge names themselves. And then we've got the next group kind of up and coming. We got Taylor Heisey, Grace Sumwinkle. Like, we've got a really solid roster, and it's very cool to walk around the arena and see, you know, little girls with those names on the backs of their jerseys.
So I was telling you that I went to a PWHL game as a fan for the very first time last week, and I was amazed at the number of girls hockey teams that come as an entire group to these games and get to see, you know, the top people in the sport playing.
It's incredible, and you probably don't even get to see all of the behind-the-scenes stuff that they do too. You know, they walk around our locker room, they're on the bench for warm-ups, they do our lineup reads. It's been really fun, and they're so cute.
They are so cute. They constantly have them on the Jumbotron dancing. There's
Yes.
everything in between all of the breaks and
Yes.
whatnot. It seems like I was sitting there with one of my friends and I was saying, I would just love to be a 7 or 8-year-old girl going to a women's hockey game with my friends or my team, and we get to be on the Jumbotron dancing around, and then we're probably going to go get pizza.
Yes,
afterwards.
yes. No, it's great. And then, you know, the sign making stations, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm the next PWHL athlete, and it's really fun, really rewarding.
I would imagine
Yeah.
in your position too.
Yeah, for sure.
Just having girls be able to, for the first time, see somebody in a position that they could hopefully be in someday. For you too, whenever you look out on the ice and you see how well the team is doing, obviously you came in, they were defending champs of the Walter Cup. What were your thoughts when you first saw the team out there all together and playing at the level that they were playing?
Yeah, they are incredible athletes. Like, they are true professionals. They show up every single day ready to train, ready to practice, ready to play. And that's really, really encouraging. And I will say also that we've got a really great coaching staff. They're really dialed in. They're providing resources and lots of film. And I just think it's a really great group, and everyone's working really well together. And that's thankfully translating to results on the ice.
So obviously we see the players that are out there, but also how important do you think it is maybe for young women to see people like you in a role that you're in, or seeing a league doing so well primarily run by women.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like I said, there were not a lot of women around me when I was first getting into this field, and don't get me wrong, I had great male mentors who helped me get to this point that I'm here today, but now I'm ready to kind of repay that favor and kind of start to make sure that, you know, we've got lots of colleges around here as well, and people who want to break into this field. And you know, another thing that I participate in myself is the WISE group here in the Twin Cities, and kind of working to help younger professionals advance in their careers.
I think, like, we've started celebrating women in sports now, but it is a fairly new concept. And like you said, when you started with the AHL, it was a male-dominated space. Did you ever struggle with imposter syndrome during that time?
You know, it's a great question. I'm sure I had instances where I certainly did, but again, I had leadership above me that helped me kind of look right past that. Yeah. And I think because I was able to do that is kind of how I was able to get over that hump, and really, you know, I really felt like I belonged. Even in the AHL and now here, certainly no question about it. Like I'm just really proud to be a part of this group.
So we've talked about how this league inspires young girls and young women, but for you and your career, who has inspired you the most? It's a hard question.
It is a hard question. You know, I'm not gonna lie. I worked underneath Dave Anders at the AHL for a really long time. He's a really well-known name in hockey. He really was instrumental for me in my career. So that was really inspiring. He really helped me always push it to the next level. And like I said, now, like, I'm looking at the women on my team. They're so inspiring every single day. They're intense, they're gritty, they're professional. It's just, I've got a really broad spectrum of people that I'm looking at right now.
Whenever I ask people that, I always think, wow, that's kind of, it's hard to ask somebody who in particular inspires them, because generally when it comes to being successful, you have a lot of people that have inspired you along the way. For you, whenever you think about moving forward with PWHL, particularly the Frost, do you guys have any goals set right now that you're reaching for that you can tell us about?
Other than winning that Walter Cup once again, you know, I'd say in the short term, I mentioned to you before we started recording, we're heading into an international break right now. After that, we do have 2 very daunting road trips coming up, one in February and one in March. So we're really looking to leave both of those. I think we've got 4 games on each trip. So with 12 points each trip, those are our goals right now. We're looking forward to getting the regular season completed and hopefully staying where we're at in the standings.
I know we're about a year out, but the Olympics are also coming up. Is there any, I wouldn't know if there was any kind of collaboration with the Olympics, but how do you think the Olympics help to coincide with the PWHL and what you guys have done so far? Because obviously everyone loves the Olympics.
Yeah, no, it's a very actually interesting dynamic, because prior to the PW, the Olympics is the pinnacle, right, for women hockey players. But there is still a lot of collaboration. You know, we've got a number of players leaving this week to go be with their national teams to compete in the rivalry series. The same group will probably leave again in April to participate in the World Championships, and that's all kind of heading into the Olympic year next year. So it'll be great. There's a lot of overlap.
And we love the Olympics here at Carolina. Yeah. It is on our air. Yes. So we're very excited for the Olympics too. But thank you so much for being in with us today and talking about, it's very cool to see the side of the PWHL that you don't necessarily see if you just go to a game every day. So thanks so much for being in here and celebrating Girls and Women in Sports Day.
Thank you at CARE for doing this.